Hi, good morning. This video is about week 3 discussions. The chapter on salvaging Strasberg from the Kressner book. I really found this chapter very interesting. I had lots of takeaways from it, but I picked a few to talk about. So I really just throughout the whole chapter, it seemed like the actors at the time, the critics at the time, the directors at the time, teachers also had a very negative opinion of Strasberg and his method. But that seemed to come about only after Stella Adler had visited Stanislavski in Paris. And so I found that very interesting how, her time with Stanislavski led to such a disdain for the method, particularly the effective, what is it called? The use of effective memory, emotional memory technique. And so I found that very interesting. And some of the questions I had about that was like, well, why was she so upset about it? Obviously, when she went to Paris, she was very upset and she hated the technique. She told him that he had ruined acting for her, and she was very upset physically, emotionally upset. So, I questioned well, why was she so upset? And then looking into the effective emotional memory technique further and kind of doing research on it, you can see, or I could see that it does have a lot of psychotherapy techniques involved, right? And so even that is one of the comments that Brustein had mentioned, I think, in his critique later on in the chapter. And it's true, I watched a video on it, Strasberg using it on an actor video, and it could be very disturbing, to be honest, because it does look like he's having a psychotherapy session with an actor, and yes, it's very disturbing. And so I could see how maybe Stella had something going on, mentally with herself, or she had some kind of trauma in her past, and maybe that's why she was having such a hard time with the technique. And so, I kind of think, well, maybe, everybody, after listening to Stella talk about how horrible it was, and that Stanislavski said, no, I don't even use that anymore. That's not what I do anymore. Maybe it was just her okay, good, because I'm not comfortable with that. I don't want to do that. And so maybe she went back, and told everybody yeah, he said, don't do this. It's horrible. And so I understand how for her that was horrible. But I don't think the whole acting, everybody in acting could say, yeah, it's horrible, we're not going to use it. And obviously it has worked well for a lot of actors, even though there was a lot of critique on it and saying how horrible it was. Obviously it worked in a lot of cases. We have a lot of great successful actors who came out of learning the method and using emotional memory technique. And another point I had made in my comments was that Brustein had mentioned Marilyn Monroe and how she was emblematic of the method, and okay, but he fails to also mention all the other actors who are great actors who came from that. And so I think that kind of negated his critique in that he used that as an example. So that was very interesting. The other chapter we read was just very short, and it was on the actor studio, how it came about, and then how it still exists today. And I think that's awesome. I didn't know that existed. And so I think that's so cool that exists for current actors, even successful actors, who have huge careers right now, that they have that to use for a lifetime. I think that's amazing. And also that they offer a 3-year master's program for actors. I think that's also very amazing. I had no idea that existed. So it's very cool. And I just had a great time learning about that. So yeah, that was pretty much my discussions for the week. So thank you.